What does it take for someone to walk across a quiet campus, blend into ordinary life, and carry a plan that would later shake two of America's most respected institutions? Tonight, you're stepping into a case that law enforcement says was shaped slowly, over months, across semesters, hidden in plain sight. I'm going to walk you through what investigators now know and what still refuses to make sense. Stay with me, because every detail raises another question. On December 13th, an engineering building at Brown University became the center of a national investigation. Students were inside. Classes were ending for the term. Nothing about the day stood out, until it did. Law enforcement says a man entered the building and opened fire. 2 students lost their lives. 9 others were injured. The suspect vanished. No arrest, no immediate identification, only fragments. Images released to the public, a description, and a growing sense that whoever did this had prepared. You've seen cases like this before, but this one unfolds differently, because within hours, the focus shifts from the crime scene to a single detail that almost went unnoticed: a witness. According to police affidavits, this witness had crossed paths with the suspect before the attack, not once, several times, enough to remember him, enough to notice something unusual: a license plate. As investigators released images of a person of interest, the witness began posting on Reddit, not to chase attention, to raise an idea: a gray Nissan, possibly a rental. Other users urged him to contact federal authorities. He did. Up to that moment, officials had not connected any vehicle to the shooter. That changes everything. And days later, the case takes a darker turn. 2 days after the Brown attack, another life is taken, this time in a quiet Boston suburb, Brookline. The victim is MIT professor Nuno F.G. Loureiro, shot inside his own home. Now the pattern is undeniable: 2 institutions, 3 victims, and a suspect with a shared academic past. Law enforcement identifies the man they believe is responsible: Claudio Neves Valente, 48 years old, a former Brown student, a Portuguese national. He studied physics, arrived in the United States roughly 25 years earlier, later became a legal permanent resident. His last known address was in Miami. And then, just days later, he is found dead, inside a storage facility in New Hampshire. That discovery doesn't close the case, it opens it. Because inside that storage unit, investigators recover something else: an electronic device. And on it, a series of videos. This is where the story shifts from pursuit to confession. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Neves Valente recorded multiple short videos after the attacks. He speaks in Portuguese. He speaks calmly. He explains. In translated transcripts, he says he had been planning the attacks for at least 6 semesters. 6. That's 3 full years of academic time. 3 years of thinking, refining, waiting. He does not give a clear motive, not for Brown, not for the MIT professor he once attended school with decades earlier in Portugal. And he is direct about one thing. He says he is not mentally ill. He says the recordings are not a manifesto. He says he does not want recognition. Instead, he frames everything as control. His words. He says his objective was to leave on his own terms, and to make sure he would not suffer the most from what he had done. Listen to that again. Control, terms, suffering. What does that tell you? In the videos, Neves Valente criticizes his own actions. He calls his execution a little incompetent, but then adds something chilling in its simplicity. At least something was done. No apology. He says he feels no reason to apologize because, in his words, no one ever sincerely apologized to him during his lifetime. That statement hangs there, unexplained, unchallenged. Investigators say he also complains about injuring his eye during the attacks, not about the victims, not about the families, about himself. What does that focus reveal? He talks about the storage unit. He says he had it for about 3 years. 3 years. The same span investigators believe he was preparing. He describes being confronted by a witness at Brown. He acknowledges the license plate was seen, and then he says something that catches every investigator's attention. He admits he never thought it would take authorities so long to find him. That detail matters because it suggests expectation. He expected discovery, he expected pursuit, and yet he kept recording, kept explaining, kept talking. Why? In one recording, he addresses claims that exploded online after the Brown attack, claims pushed by conservative influencer Laura Loomer. She alleged the shooter spoke Arabic, that he shouted a phrase associated with extremist violence. Neves denies it. He says he does not speak Arabic, not a word. He says if he said anything, it may have been an exclamation of disappointment, because he believed the auditorium was empty. Students were hiding under desks. He thought they had escaped. And then he adds another unexpected detail. He says he never wanted to carry out the attack in an auditorium. He wanted a smaller room, a regular room. He says he had many opportunities, especially that semester, but he hesitated. He says he chickened out multiple times. What finally changed? Throughout the recordings, he expresses no hatred towards the United States, no loyalty either. He says the same about Portugal and most places he has lived. He says he has been here without caring for a very long time. That sentence may be the most revealing of all. Without caring. What happens when detachment replaces connection? If you're finding this investigation gripping, support the work by subscribing. It helps this channel continue long-form reporting that doesn't rush the truth. And consider turning on notifications. Cases like this unfold in stages. You won't want to miss what comes next. As federal officials review the videos, they are left with a paradox. A man who planned for years, yet describes hesitation. A man who denies illness, yet documents his own actions. A man who claims no motive, yet selects specific locations, specific people. Brown University, MIT, a professor from his past. Coincidence or something unspoken? Investigators have not released everything. They haven't explained why those targets. They haven't detailed what happened in Portugal decades earlier. They haven't answered whether anyone else noticed warning signs. And perhaps the most unsettling question remains unanswered. If he had been preparing for 6 semesters, if the storage unit was secured years in advance, if he believed discovery was inevitable, why act when he did, and why stop when he did? Share your thoughts in the comments. What stands out to you in this case? Because the facts keep coming, and the silence between them may matter just as much.